FatDag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at FatDag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 295 of Wise Advice, and so awesome to be here. You know, we're not in the studio still. We're still recording this from my office here in Carmel, Indiana. But it's so good to be so many of you live on Facebook, just tipped over 100, which is kind of cool to see so many of you taking time out of your day on a Wednesday afternoon to join us live. For those of you listening to the replay, welcome to you as well. I want to open up this episode. We're now still in the middle of this global pandemic, right? COVID-19, coronavirus is hitting us all hard. It's really making us think differently, act differently, do everything differently. And then some of us certainly are adjusting to things that we never thought we'd have to. So to all the families out there who are experiencing this tragedy firsthand, my heart breaks for you and goes out to you, and to the people who are on the front lines, the medical workers, the military folks, the police, the fire, the EMS. Thank you for all that you're doing, and to grocery store workers and to just essential workers everywhere, people who are keeping the economy, the truck drivers, keeping the economy that is flowing going. Thank you for all that you're doing. And then lastly, but certainly not least, to the rest of us, right? To those of you doing your part to make sure we can get back to a recovery state as quick as possible by honoring and adhering to whatever guidelines has been set out by your government officials. So we're all in this together. It's the one thing that I think is interesting right now as we go through this process is before, if a natural disaster hit your area of the country, you knew that maybe a county over or a state over, life was normal. And so now as we go through this entire process, we don't have that comfort. A state over is just as crazy it is as in your current state. A town over, it's still locked down. And so you can't just pick up your phone and call someone across the country and say, hey, tell me what normal sounds like and feels like, because I know we're going to get back to that someday. So we're all dealing with this together, and I really want to say thank you for being a part of it with us. Thank you for tuning in live, and thank you for listening to the replay, and congratulations on continuing to prioritize yourself as the entire world shifts as we go through this. So thank you. If you have not already, go ahead to your app store, get the Wise Advice with FatDag app. It's the easiest way to find all of the episodes in one place. We're at episode 295 and going up to 300 soon. So in your app store, Wise Advice with FatDag, it's a free app. Just makes it the easiest way to hear that. And I'm encouraging you now to share that app with somebody. Get someone connected who may not be connected. Bring them into the community and say, hey, we got you. We will walk with you. We believe in you. Be part of the Wingman community. So thank you all for being here. For sure. So the first email for this show comes in out of Port Huron, Michigan. Sue writes in, she says, hi, Mike. Oh, it was a hell of a year, wasn't it? My husband and I moved from Carmel to Michigan 2.5 years ago to help my sister with dementia and her husband. Life has changed, gradually at first. I arranged for Meals on Wheels to be delivered for each of them daily, then for a health aide to visit daily to help my sister with personal care and ensure both of them were taking their medications and eating. Gradually, it became more evident that my brother-in-law was declining too. I arranged to become a power of attorney for both of them. In late June, my brother-in-law suffered a massive heart attack, deteriorated quickly, dying in July. While he was in the hospital, my sister required 24/7 care. August 1st, my sister moved into a 6-bedroom adult foster care home. 2 weeks later, she fell, breaking her hip, which required surgery, followed by rehab. In the meantime, my husband and I were dealing with the estate, consolidating bank accounts, notifying governments on both sides of the border. In early November, my sister was in the hospital, followed by rehab again, related to sepsis from a urinary tract infection. Her last hospital admission began February 1st because of pneumonia from the flu. She died February 5th. Funeral on the 16th. Another reason to hate February. There are still action items to finalize the estate, but I can now actually do things for myself without feeling guilty. For the past 4 months, I've been above my lifetime goal weight, never more than 5 pounds, so I've had to pay. This week, February 22nd, I resumed daily visits to the gym, which has also been on hiatus for 2 months. Next step, commence tracking to attain lifetime goal status. It's taking time to get used to this new normal. I'm not ready to even consider what is next. I can actually visit my grandson whenever I want, rather than only when my daughter needs me. Who knows what's coming up next? Sue. Sue, you're right. What a crazy year, especially for you. And so my heart breaks for you and your entire family. I know, not firsthand, but I know the toll that becoming a primary caregiver in that situation takes, and I'm incredibly proud of you for being able to step in and provide the care that was needed for your family members as they were going through the craziest time in their life. So I know the toll that takes on you, and I know that that both of them would come back to you and say thank you. Right. And thank you for putting your life on hold. Thank you for making sure that everything we needed was done. The sacrifice you made to do that was an incredible gift that you've given them. And what an honor for you to be able to be in that situation to do that. I know the toll it takes. I get that. And so here you are now in a spot now where you say, okay, it's now to back to focus on me without any of the guilt. And what a freeing feeling that gets. But there's that transition period again where you now have to transition out of one lifestyle and into a new lifestyle. And I joked about before I started the podcast, I said, I think I know how this coronavirus started. And it started with the end of your email saying, who knows what's next? And so you said you're not even ready to consider what's next. And I don't think any of us thought this was coming next. But here's where I want to go with this is, sometimes we don't really know what's coming at us. And I put this on Connect earlier today is that, for a lot of us, a sense of normal, we don't have that frame of reference recently to go back to, when it's certainly not going to be what it was before. So we live in this constant state of things are always going to change. We have the opportunity every time they change to say, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight or flight. I'm going to do that. And you've chosen to be a fighter, and that means for you is you're fighting on behalf of somebody else. And then when the opportunity comes up, you then switch over and fight on your own behalf. So it's awesome that you've done that. And so I'm proud of you. And so now here we are in the middle of a completely new change that none of us saw coming. And I hope you're doing well. I truly do. I want you to check in with me so I can kind of just see how, because you were right on that verge of saying, okay, I'm back. And then here we are, boom, everything changes after that. And of course it happened for so many of us, but in your case specifically, I could just hear the excitement in your email. Like, okay, it's time to put me first. And hopefully now you've found some opportunity to do that as we go through this. But I think what the coolest thing is that in your recommitment, in the paragraph where you say, I resume my daily visits to the gym, which you had been on hiatus for 2 months, and commenced tracking to attain lifetime goal, you started mapping out a plan. And for so many of us, that's really what it takes, is that especially now with so many things uncertain and schedules crazy, you've got to commit to and make a plan. Even if it's a daily to-do list, even if it's just blocks of time on your calendar, say in the morning I'm going to accomplish this, in the afternoon I'm going to accomplish this, and maybe by evening I want to accomplish this. If you start outlining those things, combine that with a to-do list, it starts to bring some structure into your life. That structure starts looking like a list of things you actually can control, and as you start checking them off, you start having the success you're clearly capable of and getting it done. So, Susan, thanks for your note. Thanks for your email. Again, give my hearts and thoughts and prayers to your entire family. Big hugs to everybody. Keep up the amazing work on your personal journey, and thank you for taking care of others and the sacrifice that it took to do that. It warms my heart to know that you were able to be there to help them in that way. The second email comes in out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Lynn writes in, and she says, well, hello there. Hey, I've listened to all of your podcasts on my commute to work. It's my mini meeting. Well, thank you. I will be traveling to Indianapolis in September, and I would like to attend one of your workshops if possible, or have a meetup. I find you to be such an inspiration. Keep it going. Here's a bit of my journey. I started on September 4th, 2018 with 82.5 pounds to lose, and I was going to lose 2 pounds a week. Doable. Well, that didn't happen. I met up with a fellow connector at Disney World in October right after I started. I think I felt so awkward because I'd only lost 17 pounds. She was great. We talked and she certainly inspired me, and we have kept in touch. Now it's been a year and 7 months and I've lost almost 40 pounds. I'm halfway to goal. I've met some amazing people. I've seen Oprah on her 2020 vision tour. I've done some Fitbit challenges with connectors, and I've gained so much confidence, and I haven't quit. I've been to workshops in Hawaii, and this is an amazing journey. I know your struggle, but don't ever give up. You have inspired so many people. Terry from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So, Terry, congratulations. 40 pounds down is an amazingly hard work, and you did it. Congratulations on doing that, and you're halfway to goal. It's the same process from here as it took you to get started. And I want to go all the way back into the earlier part of your journey where you said, you met someone at Disney and you had only lost 17 pounds at the time. And I tell you, 17 pounds, it cannot be done accidentally. It's deliberately your plan that you've set into place that you're working to do that. So I think the biggest danger on this journey is the recognition of we know we need help along the way. We know we have a community of wingmen who are awesome, and we need people to help us. And so in that version of asking for help, it makes the most sense to ask for help for someone who understands it, right? And so if you have to ask someone who understands it, then generally speaking, it's someone who has either started, completed, or is in the process of their own complete transformation. So now you're asking them for help, and now you're comparing your journey to theirs because that's the benchmark you're using. And that's not how it works. We can support each other without having that opportunity to compare each other. So when you're finding someone else who's lost 50, 70, 100 pounds on the journey, and you're just getting started, you can't have the same expectations as they do at the time that you're at. So all you can do is put into place is the action. Say, okay, I'm going to continue on my plan and see where it takes me. In your case, it's moved you halfway towards your goal weight, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. I'm looking at the Facebook comments as I say this, and there's a lot of people jumping up and down, cheering for you, saying congratulations, Terry, on doing that. So amazing, amazing, amazing work. I hope you do come to Indianapolis in September. I hope you're able to get here. I hope everything is cleaned up by then, and I hope we're back into the studio. And by all means, please stop in. For sure, please pop in. Shoot me an email ahead of time. Make sure I'm there for one, and maybe we'll get together before or after, something like that. But if you're if you're coming into Indy in September, we absolutely need to connect and meet up. It would be an honor for me as well. So shoot me an email. Let me know when you're going to be here. Let's make that happen as it gets closer for sure. Something you said, which I think a lot of us get in this trap, is so you started your journey September 4th with 82.5 pounds to lose, and then a lot of us go through this process. We look at how much weight do we want to lose, and then we set some arbitrary date in the future and say, I'm going to lose this much by the end of the year. And then we do the math. We take 82, divide it by boom. Next thing we know, it says, okay, 2 pounds a week. And then so we make this linear graph that says, okay, I'll just lose 2 pounds every week, and it just ticks off, and then boom, I'll get the goal. This journey, folks, is nothing about it is linear. It is not a, okay, I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week every single week. There are days where the scale is going to just completely give you a different number than you were expecting. The scale is going to do that. Your lifestyle is going to do that. And so it's a bumpy road with a consistent trend line in the direction that you're indicating. So when we set the goal, say I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week, what happens mentally is we say, okay, I want to lose 82.5 pounds, which is 2 pounds a week to get to by this date. And we make this linear chart down. And let's say the first week we lose 2, we're good there. Let's say the next week we come up with a 3 or a 4 pound weight loss. We shrug that off as overachiever, and we say, okay. And then the following week, let's say week 3, I'm making the numbers up, of course, but we come in at week 3 and we're down 1.6. Well, instantly, alarm bells start going off because we set a goal to lose 2 pounds a week. And so sometimes we're not able to average and say, well, I'm still averaging over 2 pounds a week. What we do mentally is we say, I really want to lose 2 pounds a week, and I only lost 1.6 this week. And then someone says, well, but last week you lost 3. And we say, well, yeah, well, that was last week. And then so our brains get now hung up on, I set a goal to lose 2 pounds a week, and I'm not able to do it. Folks, I say this often. You have zero ability to lose weight. There's nothing you can do to actually change the scale. If I told you right now, okay, everybody, press pause, and when you come back, be down 5 pounds. Right? You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. Okay, at your next workshop, make sure you weigh in with a 1.72 pound weight loss. No more, no less. You don't have that ability. So we have to then break this journey into, okay, what are the things I can control versus what are the things I can't control? It happens to coincide with the workshop topic this week. But you think about the things you actually can control. You cannot control the number on the scale. The exact number, you cannot control it. You can control the direction, but you cannot control the exact number. You certainly can't control the timeline, right? But what you can control is the activity and the habits that you're building to build a new lifestyle as you're trying to figure this whole thing out. If you built the plan properly, then what the plan should consist of is every day I'm doing something in the activity space. Every day I'm doing something in the eating properly space. Every day I'm doing something properly in the mental space, right? I call it moving, eating, and thinking. I set a moving goal, an eating goal, and a thinking goal for every single day, and I track those things. Those things I can control. If I hit them, I know I did. If I didn't hit them, I can actually go upstairs right now and do it. Right? I can press pause right now and go hit all 3 of those goals. If I do that consistently, then the scale rewards me and rewards you with, okay, you've completely changed your life. You've done something different that you haven't done before, and that's the piece you can control. So I want us to kind of get rid of this linear notion of saying, okay, I want to be down 50 pounds by Christmas, so that's X amount of weeks away, do the math, boom, 1.6. And a lot of us make these beautiful spreadsheets, right? And we do. And about week 4 or 5 or 6 or somewhere in there, we abandon the spreadsheet because the linear graph is broken. And then we say, well, you know what, this is too hard, I can't do it. When the reality is that you can track some things, you can do some things, you can get the trend line going, the averages going in the right direction to completely change your life. So I suspect that's what happened here. But you've overcome it, which is the greatest victory, is that you found that, okay, that didn't work, but you readjusted and you kept going, which is step 2 of making a great plan, is say, okay, how do I continue to move forward in that? So again, congratulations on your 40 pounds down, halfway to goal. 40 pounds has got to be amazing, right? You've got to feel so much better. It's noticeable. People who haven't seen you in a while, they notice a 40-pound weight loss. So it feels good. Use that energy, that motivation to keep you in the game, to keep you fighting, because you've given yourself the gift of health. We're going to talk about that coming up in the next email, but the one thing you've now given yourself is a fighting chance to survive, and to take care of your health is the greatest gift you can ever give yourself. So congratulations, Terry, on doing that. Last but not least, you end your email with, don't ever give up. And so, that's my motto. And so I appreciate you shouting out on that, but giving up is not something that's in my vocabulary. I promise you, it's funny, I got an email last night, as a matter of fact. I get them from time to time. I get people sending me emails, and, some of them, most of you are awesome. 1 or 2 of you, not so awesome. But I get some email, and the one last night was another example of it. But what I didn't even reply at this point. I just, deleted it and moved on. Always veiled with a sense of concern. Hey, Mike, I'm concerned about you. Blah, right? Insert stupid comment here. If you're going to do that, that's fine. But what's interesting is I'm not going to respond to most of the time because I've been very transparent about it. But the one thing I'm going to always share is that I pledged on day 1 to never quit. And that's what I'm doing, right? It would be so much easier, especially with this whole crisis going on. It'd be a lot easier just to say, you know what, I'm going to take the time to focus on me and do that, and I'm still able to do that at the same time by not giving up. Because one thing we know is no matter what the problem is, giving up is never going to be the solution. So, Terry, thanks for that vote of confidence and encouragement. We are in this together, and we've got it. So thank you so much for your note. The last email comes in out of Grand Junction, Colorado. Judy writes in, says, "Hey, Mike, as I listened to your beautiful co-host Janine discuss stress eaters versus non-stress eaters on episode 291, my mind started racing. With the whole world out of control under the COVID-19 pandemic since the beginning of March, the scale has finally been moving in the right direction for me. I suddenly understand the connection. It's stress. There's a line in the song in the Broadway show Oliver, I think, that goes, 'Food, glorious food, can't wait till I get some.' And I have sung that song all of my life, literally. From a chubby 6X child growing up to the chunky high schooler who never got a date, to the overweight woman whose scale finally maxed out at 246 pounds, I ate. And I ate, and I ate. Food was my friend, not fuel, not a source of life's nutrition. It's only been through my WW journey that I learned to understand it as my drug of choice, my comfort, my celebrant, my boredom breaker. Food was my best friend. My weight loss journey seriously kicked in February 2016. I was living under the most stressful situation of my life. My 93-year-old mother at the time was living with my partner and I, and we'd been doing so successfully for about 6 years. Things were going very well until her dementia set in, and it dramatically changed her personality. She became physically and verbally abusive to both of us, causing the most stressful environment I'd ever experienced. That living arrangement simply could not continue. Our home was supposed to be a place of sanctuary. Ours was far, far from that, and almost on an hourly basis. I was forced to execute the hardest decision of my life. As her daughter, I had to evict my own mother from our home. The stress of that move and the adjustment period that followed, combined with my newly retired life from working, weighed heavily on my heart. My world seemed completely out of control. Thankfully, I rejoined WW, and I promptly lost 75 pounds within a year and a half. Blood pressure medications were taken away. Thyroid medications were reduced. I went from a size 22, 24 to a size 12, 14. Life was awesome. I felt great, and I loved what the mirror reflected back at me. Then entered WW Freestyle, whose 2 years were not my friend. I didn't like any of the proteins promoted with that plan, and remember, I wanted food, glorious food. During that time, I mostly maintained the majority of my 2016 loss, but still, I was not happy that the scale was up slightly and now is stalled. I've been fighting the 7 up, 7 down yo-yo since, all the time wondering why I just couldn't get off the dime again until along comes a deadly worldwide virus. The stress of COVID-19 has halted life as we know it for all of us. Unsure if we can get our favorite low point foods at the market makes a professed food lover like me very anxious. Daily walks out in the fresh air are all the exercise I can get, and they become very welcomed. The required social distancing and the isolation have given me time. Finally, there's time to write out my thoughts. Low food sources require stringent meal planning. I am diligently measuring and tracking points. For the past month, I've actually harnessed the stress of this worldwide virus to my advantage, and I finally understand. When the whole world is completely out of control, I can successfully crank down on the only thing I can control, which is myself. The scale is once again rewarding my efforts. I don't wish anxiety and stress on anyone, but for me, COVID-19 has been a huge point of understanding my eating decisions. I do most certainly, however, wish safe and wellness for you and your family, plus our entire WW community as well. Fighting to stay healthy is now, more than ever, a huge factor in combating this illness and its spread throughout our world. Thank you for all that you do for our community, FatDag. I appreciate having you out there as a voice of understanding and guidance. Wishing you all good focus and health, Judy. Judy, heartbreaking email as well, and I can't even imagine that decision where you know for your own sanity, the right decision is to have mom move out. We want to be there for our families, and so there's an immediate family and then your extended family, and so you did the right thing. You clearly know that, and so I'm proud of you for one, recognizing it, and two, taking the hard steps to do it. Not easy, and you recognize that it had to be done, and so again, truly a great job in doing so. When you talk about this journey, and when you talk about the stress eating of it and the non-stress eating it, and so you're in this scenario where how we react to stress is different for everybody. Just like Janine said, and for her, when she's stressed out, she doesn't eat. Lucky for me, I like to eat when she's stressed out or when I'm stressed out. So we work out well. We are not going to run out of food if we stress in this house because only one of us is eating it. Jokingly, I figured out that if I think Chick-fil-A is a cure for this coronavirus, because so far I've had it just about every single day and I don't have the virus. So I'm making the connection that the two are related. And so that is my, the drug of choice for me, and it's keeping me healthy from COVID-19. But think about food being your friend. And so when we get into that mindset, one of my favorite things to do is look up the definition of food. Go to Webster.com, go to a website, go wherever you get your actual word. We know if I asked you to define food, you could come up with something. But if you actually go to the textbook definition of food, it talks about, nutrients and sustaining life. And so when you think about food as being fuel or food as being nutrition, it takes a lot of things that we consider food off of the table. They don't fit the definition. Go look it up and tell me, do M&Ms fit that definition? Do a bag of chips fit that definition as food? And if you want to get really literal and technical, they don't meet the definition of food because they don't sustain life. There's not enough nutritional content in them to do so. In order to get enough of the nutritional content from that food to sustain your life, you've got to pile on a whole bunch of things you don't need, which is counterintuitive to the whole sustaining life process anyway. So when we can make that shift and we can say, okay, I understand now that I need to eat properly as fuel, I need to eat properly as nutrition, that's when things start to change. The better we do at that, the better we are long term. And so that's where the 0 point food comes in, as much of that 0 point food fit the definition of food. It's nutritionally balanced. It's things we're not eating enough of. And it's generally things that the FDA has recommended that perform the basis and the foundation of a healthy eating pattern and diet. So when we can make that mindset, boom, all of a sudden we go. But nowhere in that definition does food become friend. Does food become comfort, right? And so when you think about times where you're stressed or worried, very rarely, if ever, does the actual eating habit solve the crisis. It's a diversion. It kind of takes your brain away from the thought at hand. But then once things settle back down, boom, we're right back into the situation we had prior to is right back alive and well. So, Judy, congratulations on your 75-pound weight loss. 75 pounds, think about that. Incredible work. Absolutely incredible. And so obviously being able to take yourself off your blood pressure medication, phenomenal, right? Very few doctors have the opportunity to unprescribe a medication to their patients. And I think, my doctor said the same thing. He's like, I don't get to do this very often. And it makes him happy when we do it. So you've completely given yourself the gift of health of doing that, reducing your thyroid medication. We know there are certain things that we've done to our bodies, whether it be genetics or choices we made prior to, that maybe we can't live a life completely medication free, but we certainly can get better in a lot of areas, and you've done that. So going from a size 22 to a size 12, 14, life was awesome. Life is awesome. You know that. You feel that. And so here we are now coming into this stage where we're all of a sudden now this coronavirus now is really hitting you up and down, and you're in this 7-pound swing of 7 here, 7 down. It doesn't negate the 75-pound loss that you've done. It doesn't negate all the hard work that you've done. It doesn't negate all of the lessons that you've learned along the way. You're adjusting to this new lifestyle. You're adjusting to a new normal. You're trying to figure out it all as you go along, but you have this good foundation that you've built that you can now add and subtract to, using food as fuel and nutrition being the guiding light and the guiding principle to get you to where you want to go. As the stress halted life for so many of us, we do know that, hey, we're going to have to make some substitutions along the way. Right? The supermarkets aren't, they're not as stocked. It's just true. They're not as well stocked as you are. Your favorite brand of something may be out. And so if you're used to having a favorite brand and you know the exact points and you chose that brand because it was 2 or 3 points less and that fit into your day and you were eating on a routine and now that brand is not available, you've got to take a step back and go back all the way to the basics, pulling out the scanner, pulling out the calculator, doing some WW math, working your journey, but you have all the tools that you know you need to be successful. You cannot lose 75 pounds accidentally, so you just fall back on, okay, what did I do to get here? In this new environment, what of that process can I bring to this environment? Boom, making the change and completely saving your life. You ended your email saying that, 2 things, that there are things you can control, things you can't control. You absolutely can control. We talked about it in the earlier email. You can control the habits, the actions, and the mindset. You can control those. You can control the reaction to the habits to control the mindset. You cannot control the scale. And so you recognize that, and I'm glad to see you wrote it out, but the scale now is rewarding you because you put in the things that you can control, you put in those actions into place and gotten it done. I agree with you. I don't wish stress and anxiety on anybody, but for you, it's awesome that it brought a sense of clarity. It gave you the time to sit back and truly reflect and go, okay, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? What do I want to get done? What do I need to do it? And so that gift of time, I talked about this earlier in a different episode. The gift of time that we've been given is really how you're going to use that is going to set you up for the rest of your life. No one asked for this change to come at us. This change just showed up. And so it showed up it showed up for everybody, and some people are reacting differently to it. And so now what you did is you said, okay, now that it's here, the decision to change wasn't mine, but the have to change is. And so now you take that have to change mindset and say, okay, since I didn't ask for this change, but now the change is here, how do I make sure that I benefit the best from it? You didn't have to make the decision to change. It was forced on you. Here we are. How do I continue to move forward into my goal? Knowing that the bigger portion of your why is our health. Is for so many people, why are we doing this? Is to maintain our health and to be healthy. We've heard, numerous reports of those who are struggling with this disease are folks who had some underlying health conditions prior to. If we can eradicate some of those ahead of time, you have a much better chance of doing well through this process. If you can control your habits, control your actions, and the scale rewards you, you do that much better. If you can take yourself off of blood pressure medication, if you can reduce your thyroid medication, if you can lower your A1C, as we heard prior to the show, if you can do those things for yourself, if and when, or if maybe you do contract this virus, you've given yourself a much better chance of beating this with a big old smile on your face because you know you took your life in your own hands. You controlled the things you could control, and that was your health. You got as healthy as you could, and you did it. So, Judy, thank you for writing in. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I will always be a part of this community for you, always here for you, here to answer whatever questions, comments, concerns you have to make sure that as a community, we stay together. We work with each other. We become wingmen for each other. We reach out when anyone needs it, and we're just here because we believe in each other. We know that this is hard work. We know there's some challenging times, but we are all in it together. And if you just relied on one person's version of the story, you wouldn't have all the tools you need. So it takes a community of people working together and being a part of that really, really keeps this thing going. So thank you for that. It's always fun to read emails of people who are down 50, 60, 75 pounds on the show. And so we know that's always the fun part of it. But I'm always interested in the celebrations. I'm always interested in the struggles and how do we help you break whatever mental barrier is going on. But I encourage you always to write in and share those things with us. And if nothing else, tell me something that you're happy about. Every single day, there's something amazing going on in your life that you just need to stop for a second and recognize it and celebrate it. What is it that you're celebrating? Let's share it on the air. Go to FatDag.com, click on the Wise Advice Podcast link, send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions, your concerns. I'll work them in as part of the show. That's how the whole show works. You've listened now, episode 295. The entire show is you writing in, telling me how awesome you are, or why I can tell you how awesome you are, and then we get it done. So go ahead and continue to email in. Send your email to onair@fatdag.com. I want you to be proud of what you're doing. I want you to celebrate what you're doing. I want to help you along the way every single step because I'm your wingman. We have a community of wingmen, whether it be here, the Facebook group, the connector. We're all connected. We're here for each other, especially during this most difficult, challenging time. When there may be no one else that you can reach out to, you know you can reach out to somebody else who's walking this journey with you. You do not ever have to walk it alone. Well, that's going to do it for this time. Remember, losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. On behalf of my producers, Heather and Lisa, we wish you good focus.